Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show where the college experience never truly ends. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday. Test-taking Thursday. How many different scholastic things can I come up with in relation to tonight's presentation? I don't know, but I tried. Yeah, so that's where we're at. On the moon. But who's joining me on this beautiful Thursday evening? The Alexander over on the X machine. Yes, everyone, I am simulcasting on X. So on the off chance that you have an X account and see this broadcasted over there, please do retweet it out to let people know I exist, because that's all I care about. Please. I only my immortality is only sustained by your knowledge of my existence. Advocast Diaboli, good evening. Mike R, hello. The Luke Skywalker 2, hello. This is going to be a wacky talk, I'm sure. Well, I guess we'll find out momentarily. Adam Nixon, good evening. Hope you're doing well. Keeverdam, hello. And thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the link to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, guys. That's pinned to the top of the chat box. If you have the opportunity, please take a look at that. And if you can donate, please donate. But even if you can't, if you can share that out on social media, that would be appreciated. So thank you ahead of time for that. And thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the link. Pope Tyrannus III, the Blessed Lich, good evening. Adabisi, good evening, Adabisi, and thank you so much, Adabisi. Howdy, Scribe and Chat, listening while driving. Well, yes, I'm glad you're listening while driving. Don't watch the stream while driving. That's unadvised. But hope I can keep you company on a drive, as it were. No innuendo meant there. Mike R, hello. Did I already say hi to Mike R? If I didn't say hello, Mike, I probably did. Mike R, you got it twice. What can I tell you? You're a lucky guy. Best Remy, hello. Angelverse, good evening. Amada Wolfchild, hello, Amada. Hope you're doing well. Daryl Odell, good evening. Who else is here? Green Death, hello. Morgan King, hello. And I think that's everybody I see. If I missed you, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, hello. So I'm going to bookend tonight's stream with a couple of programming notes on the off chance anybody misses them before the end of the stream, because there's a couple of things to be aware of, at least in my tiny little itsy-bitsy universe of broadcasting. I have said this at least 2 previous TEDx's in the past, because at the time that I said it, I thought it to be true, but it kept changing. Now, I am almost assured that this is true. What I'm saying now is true. Tomorrow, Friday morning, at 9:05 a.m. Pacific Time, noon 05 p.m. Eastern Time, I will appear, once again, on Midnight's Edge in the morning. However, it will be my last appearance on that series. And here is why. That series is moving time slots to 2 hours earlier than is usually the case. So instead of 9 a.m. my time, starting next Monday, it will start at 7 a.m. my time. And unfortunately, that move places the show in its entirety within the time period of my work obligations every single weekday. So the likelihood that I will be able to attend another show of Midnight's Edge in the morning in the future is slim to none. And so for all intents and purposes, tomorrow will be my last appearance on that series. It will not be my last appearance on Midnight's Edge. Andre and I have started doing a little series of reviews of Conan comic books. Conan the Barbarian comic books. So if you guys are interested in that, the first episode was published earlier this week. Our pilot episode. The plan is to review the major storylines in the publication of the comic book that's been out for a couple of years now, all the way up to when we get to the latest issues, and then the idea would be to review issue by issue as they come out each month. So that's that. The second programming note thing to be aware of, and I just found this out today, I have been invited, and fingers crossed, knock wood, that the timing works out that I can attend, but next Tuesday, I am scheduled to appear on the panel on Mr. Black's channel, One Crime TV, on a celebratory live stream for his channel hitting 100,000 subscribers in record time. I am both flattered and a little nervous by this invitation because, as you may know, despite my fandom otherwise, I'm not a true crime content creator, but I'm glad to be there to celebrate with him, and hopefully I'll have something to contribute. Topics of discussion will include the Brian Kohberger case, the recent case or ongoing case of David or D4VD, and some other things. He's going to have other more, I think, legitimate guests in the true crime community on there as well, but I'll be tagging along for that, so looking forward to celebrating that with him. And one more thing. If you didn't already know, my friend Sinatra Says recently, just in the last couple of days, his original YouTube channel, which had been decertified by YouTube because Sinatra said naughty things at some point years ago, and demonetized, that part still needs to be fixed, has been resurrected. So look up on YouTube Sinatra_says. Find that channel. If you're not already subscribed, do subscribe. He's going to try to resurrect his channel, hopefully to get it remonetized in the near future. And all the work that he did for all those years may not be for naught. He kept the channel, so he's hoping to rebuild it. And I hope that you'll help him to do that. Okay, so that's all the programming stuff. Blue-Eyed Scream, hello. Who else is here? John Trioxin, hello. Yep, it's me, hello. And Jay Blizza, or JB Lizza, hello. Not a relation to Chris Saliza, so far as I know. Anyway, tonight's topic, if you can believe it, lessons from a sex professor who never dated. This talk came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. I've sort of kept it in storage, so to speak, because there have been some other talks that came out that I thought were more interesting off the cuff. And this week, though, the crop that TEDx posted was, once again, mostly talks in foreign languages, or at least foreign to me, or AI nonsense, or TEDx youth events, which I stay away from. So here we are. Rock is like a hurricane. All right, so the questions that came to my mind. A sex professor who never dated. Well, I suppose you don't necessarily need to have dated a lot to become a sex professor. I don't know what it is entailed in becoming a sex professor. I guess it doesn't have to be your body count to qualify you. I don't know what the prerequisites are to become a sex professor. Maybe she'll tell us as we proceed. But sure, lessons from a sex professor who never dated. I mean, you don't have to date to have... I don't know how much field experience you have to register ahead of time to get your diploma in sex professorship. But I suppose we'll find out. Anyway, tonight's bingo card, everybody, is bingo card C. C is in Casanova. That was the winner of the TEDx bingo poll over on the X Machine. If you want to follow along for the bingo poll and all my other antics on the X Machine, you can see down there at the bottom of the corner, scribe_light on the X. And you can check that out. Also, there is a Discord server. I'll be giving out the link to the Discord server at the end of the stream, but you have to watch the show to qualify for membership. Liana Johnston, good evening. I'm here and on time. I appreciate punctuality. And certainly, I'm sure our speaker does too. All right, guys, so that's the opening. Here we go. This one clocks in at just under 15 minutes. Holy cats. 15 minutes of sex professorship. I'll start off with a few seconds for a sound test. Get your bingo card C's ready. Links are in the description. And let me know if you can hear this, and then we will proceed.
In January 2024,
In January 2024, it was a very good year. Everybody hear that okay? January 2024? Let me know. I'm sure you did, but I'm always a little curious. Sounds great, says Green Death. Good. I had to modulate the sound a little bit. It wasn't the most quiet TEDx I've ever heard in its original track, but it needed a little massaging.
In January 2024, I had 2 goals. My first goal was to learn to grow some herbs.
Herbs as in actual herbs, or is that like, the euphemism for what the kids say these days?
I've never been that successful at plants,
Oh.
but I thought I'd give it a try.
Okay, grow some herbs.
And my second goal was to have consensual sex for the first time.
Okay, I'm not gonna shame everybody Wait, have consensual sex? Oh, okay. That qualifier, ooh. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Did I step into something here? Okay.
Yes, you heard that correctly. I was 47 years old, and I hadn't had sex, and I was a professor who taught sexuality.
Daryl, okay. For the sake of this being a family channel, Daryl Odell makes the funniest... I don't know if I want to put that on screen. For those of you watching the live chat on YouTube later, you can discover that for yourself. My mind didn't even go there, but that is hilarious. I know I'm building a mystery, Sarah McLachlan style, by saying that, but anyway, oh, jeez. Okay, all right. Put a gold star on Daryl Odell's forehead. Yeah, that was a good one. All right.
In fact, I taught about families and communication, and I taught about parenting. And every semester, as I would prepare my faculty bio for my classes, I would think to myself, what would my students think if they actually knew how little experience I had in all?
Well, this was my question before, and when she said, like, when the title was, who never dated, I thought, well, I mean, you can have experience without going on the dating game kind of thing. But no, she was a complete and, well, okay. Again, she qualified that with consensual. So I'm wondering if there's some dark history here. I'm not going to, unless she decides to delve into that, I'm not going to speculate any further. But I mean, there was an interesting qualifier she gave. But either way, she had effectively no experience in, let's say, healthy sexual contact. I'm making an assumption here. And yet she went through and became a sex professor. Not sure about that. Also, Payar D. Bayar is here. Hello, Payar D. Bayar. Hope you're doing good. All right. Anyway.
All of these things that I am teaching them.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't actually know what those things were actually like.
Should you be required to have some kind of, as I say, field experience before getting your sex professor degree? I don't know.
I mean, I could tell you all about the birthing process.
Yes, sexual reproduction is relatively well understood, even in the absence of direct experience, yeah.
I knew all the things that happened during the birthing process.
Yeah.
I could tell you about the physiological process of arousal. I would have my students sculpt genitalia out of Play-Doh.
This is in college, yes.
And I knew what it looked like.
Sculpting genitalia out of Play-Doh was part of your curriculum. Okay.
I could tell you about the pros and cons of all the contraceptive options, but I never actually opened a condom wrapper, so I didn't even know that condoms had like bursts of air in them, so you could know like if they were actually good or not.
Okay, I need to take, we're only a minute and 24 seconds into this. I need to take a moment. Let's review the bingo card. Just, remember, this is bingo card C. C is in Casanova, links in the description. So this is what we're listening for. DEI philosophy, word salad, mind reading or assumes motives, a list, marginalized marginalization, patriarchy, contradicts own point or fails to make argument. I don't know that there's an argument here. If she's just going to be giving us a sort of stream of consciousness litany of storytelling, but I guess we'll find out. Feminism, attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, systemic or institutional, anecdote that probably never happened, white supremacy, childhood or family anecdote, and she hasn't given us any of those yet, leaves out vital context, weightless example or non sequitur, sales pitch for product or service. She has to name a brand if she's going to go for condoms or something. Privilege, collectivizes own demographic, self-vilification or wretchedness. We'll see if she leans any further into coming across as illegitimate to her students, being a professor of something that she never had any direct experience with. I'm not quite there yet in circling that. It depends on how much she makes that part of her presentation going forward. Economic disparity, benevolent condescension, plays victim, deceptive statistics, and lastly, microaggressions or unconscious bias. Thus far, I don't think we have any squares to be circled, but I'm sure by the end of it we will.
That was a discovery. I knew about Sternberg's triangular theory of love and how commitment and intimacy and passion are three really important dynamics of relationships that can like ebb and flow as you're in a relationship.
I'd never heard of that before, but then of course I'm not a sex professor. I'm also having to pause this occasionally because I don't know what the time limit is. I would love to, somebody must know by now. It must be out there somewhere. How long can you let something run before the YouTube whatevers will check you on a live stream and then, demonetize the stream? Not that I monetize most of these. Well, I have lately, but generally speaking, I don't expect much out of monetization. But I've always wondered, like, how long can I let it run before having to make some kind of comment or a pause?
But I didn't actually know what that looked like in a relationship and how those dynamics really could change.
So all the way up through the age of 47, you never had even something like a intimate relationship, and not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily have to be, sexual, but I mean, okay.
I knew theories really, really well. I have read so much about all of these topics.
Yeah.
And I could tell you what should happen theoretically.
Yeah. And by the way, I remember this came up at one time. I throw no shade at any TEDx speaker who is using cue cards or a teleprompter or something else. Speaking in front of an audience is not an easy thing, and trying to keep your mind on track can be difficult, I know. So more power to her.
But I didn't know how any of these things felt, and I didn't know what the lived experience of these things was actually like. Now, how does one end up 47 years old, not having had sex, teaching about sex? Well,
why did you pick that as your focus, I guess is my question. If it had so little to do with your real life, why?
I came from a a family with, I was the oldest of 5 children.
Okay, childhood or family anecdote, circling that one on the board. Let me find it here. Why am I always like blind to my own bingo card? There it is. Childhood or family anecdote, and as well circling free space because it's free.
I was raised in a very high demand religion where the goal for me was to get married and to have babies, and follow all of the rules, follow your leaders, and most of all, stay pure until you are married. And I remember one Sunday, and those.
Sorry, I forgot. I was going to pause there for a second. Okay, so she came from a very restrictive, cloistered, religiously modulated family. Okay, well I guess that explains some of it.
You were married. And I remember one Sunday, and those of you who grew up in purity culture probably have had this experience too. I remember one Sunday school teacher brought cupcakes to class. They looked so good.
Cupcakes.
And he pulls the cupcake out and he's like, ooh, how many of you guys want a cupcake? And of course, we all raise our hand because at 15, everyone wants a cupcake.
Yes, it depends on what kind of 15-year-old you are. Or if you're gluten intolerant or something.
And then he proceeds to lick the cupcake. And he's like, how many of you want this now? Of course, nobody raised their hand.
Sounds kind of creepy, yeah.
And he was like, well, no, of course you don't want it.
Oh, I see where this is going. I'm smart. I am SMRT. I know where this is going.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want this except the person who licked it. And that message was clear to me. I felt it not just in my head. Like, I didn't just know it. I felt it. I felt my body tighten and I felt shame.
Yeah, well, that is a primary tool in many religions to keep control of people.
And I knew that, like, if I was not pure, I was destined for bad things.
It all depends on your perspective.
And I was taught not to trust my body.
Okay, I've seen some people in the chat say plays victim. But is she playing right? I mean, is she fabricating a victim narrative rather than just explaining the structure in which she was raised? Let's wait. Let's wait and see, and then we'll discuss if she doesn't go any further later.
Feeling good led to temptation. And I remember there was one week when I was feeling especially peppy, and I was telling a church leader that I was like, hey, I have discovered that if I do what feels good, it seems to lead itself to good things. And he was like, oh my gosh, you should not trust your body.
I don't know if plays victim applies here. Let's see where she goes.
It will lead you astray. So, okay, I was like, okay, fine. Physical cues should not be trusted. I should not listen to this body. And then there's this body that I have. This body that I felt was a moral failing. I felt like through TV and books and friends and church that having a body that looked like my body was a moral failing.
I don't have much to say. I have to pause just for the sake of things. It's like, okay, again, just underscoring the fact that this lady was raised in a very restrictive religious community and mindset. Okay. So I assume this is explaining why she shied away from physical intimacy or anything else for so long. It still makes me curious as to what then led her to want to become a sex professor. Maybe because she didn't have any other avenue to find out about it?
That if you eat less and you move more, you should be able to have the perfect body.
Well, it is true. If you eat less and move more, generally speaking, barring there being some other factor involved, you will be lighter. The perfect body, quote unquote, is of course subjective, but you will be healthier overall depending on what you're eating and how much exercise you get. I mean, that's just kind of, I mean, you know so much about the biological processes of the reproductive cycle, etc. I would assume somewhere in there you took some health science that also kind of explained part of this.
And so at age 10, I started dieting. And
At age 10? Good gravy.
never stopped.
You never stopped dieting since age 10. Okay.
It ruined my metabolism. And since I was too fat to actually have an eating disorder, that's what the doctors told me, that binging and purging wouldn't hurt.
The doctor, wait. Maybe that was a I shot an elephant in my pajamas kind of statement. The doctors told you that binging and purging wouldn't hurt, or you just made that conclusion yourself?
And I really felt like I was inhabiting this gruesome, vile vessel that no one would ever find desirable.
Okay, I just feel sorry for her, all things considered.
And it wasn't just a mindset. You saw it in how I walked, in how I moved through the world, in how I tried to take up less space. And I constantly was pulling myself in. I wore dark clothes, I avoided mirrors, and I avoided all pictures, like the plague.
See, in certain TEDx's, when you have somebody on a stage effectively pouring out their internal monologue and stuff, sometimes you can find some ridiculousness or some humor or something. I'm just not getting there with this. everybody in one way, shape, or form. Well, maybe not everybody. Not Ranting Monkey. Ranting Monkey has always been a beautiful creature and has never had any self-esteem issues. But most people, most of us who are not Olympians like Ranting Monkey, have had, self-image issues and self-confidence issues, felt out of place or not enough, etc., and so on, or not enough, depending, as we were growing up. So I can empathize to a certain extent. I was not raised in a strictly religious household or anything, but, being picked on by kids and diminished and feeling like I had issues I couldn't resolve to satisfy the people around me is something that I can relate to. So that's a tough situation to be in.
Family members would have to pull me into pictures to be able to have any proof that I existed. And then there was a bad spring break when I was 19 where I left that experience feeling like that cupcake from Sunday school.
Uh-oh.
And I think that's when I really just stopped listening to my body.
This is just sad. Let's see. Let's take a moment here. A couple more hellos and such. X to doubt, says John Troxton. What in particular? Let's see. Pope Tyrannus. She is playing the victim at any point. She could have gotten laid, either when her religious tenets via marriage or she gotten some strange. Well, I don't know if she has these sort of imposed mental and self-image manacles placed on her. I don't know if it's that easy. Okie Native. He has delusional levels of self-confidence, but that's not a bad thing. Who, me? Well, I assume you're talking about Ranting Monkey. You're absolutely wrong. He's not delusional. He is a perfect creature. Seth DeSwalt, my wife asked if Scribelight is a sex professor. Raffle. Well, I can't say that I didn't have a certain, let's say, academic position in college dealing with such things. Those of you that know, but I'll leave it at that for the sake of this being a family channel. And let's see, Advocate, she must have 5 cameras on her. Yeah, she's I don't know. Is she going to say what happened at 19? Again, the way that she qualified at the beginning that the first time she had consensual sex was at 47, I'm assuming something terrible happened that presumably also compounded her fear over physical intimacy. So, boy, oh boy, can I pick them? Most times I pick TEDx's and they're kind of ridiculous and funny. This one's just kind of awkward and sad. I hope there's a happy ending here in some way, literally and figuratively.
So that's how I became 47 years old, and I was teaching about sex. I was fascinated with sex. I was so curious about it.
Okay, that makes more sense. She got into it because she had no direct knowledge, so yeah.
But I had no practical experience in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, I fell. I conked my head, and I sustained a concussion.
And that jogged yourself into, or wait, and you met a cute nurse, doctor, somebody as a result, right? Tell me there's some kind of uplifting, romantic element to this story. Please cheer me up, because I feel really, really sad at this point.
And as part of that, I had to, at the healing process, I had to learn to listen to my body.
Okay.
Because I needed to start to pay attention to the cues that I was getting when I was going to start to get sick.
Okay. I don't know where this is going. Alan Thyler, thank you so much for the break from this. With a dog cat fox with the number 1 finger going into the air. That is the number 1 finger. Yes, it is the number 1 finger, not the other finger. And, dog cat fox.
Wowie, wow, wow.
Oh, there's a Ranting Monkey dog cat fox. Strangely enough. What a coincidence. I'd be talking about Ranting Monkey. And then there's a Ranting Monkey dog cat fox. All right. Well, thank you, Alan Thyler. All right, so she had a concussion, and from this concussion, she learned that she had to listen to her body. And then?
And how to pay attention and take care of myself. And as I started to do that, I realized that I was missing something.
I know what she was missing, and actually, Jay Blizza knows what was missing. Thank you so much, Jay, or JB. Pardon me. Wrong scribe. She woke up from the concussion with the knowledge of how to build a flux capacitor. Yes. And then she traveled back in time and told her younger self, lighten up. And then everything changed. Now, that'd be a weird sort of reboot of Back to the Future. A 47-year-old virgin has a revelation, goes back in time. Anyway, thank you so much, Jay Blizza. JB. Appreciate it. All right, so you had this concussion, and then...
That there was a part of who I was as a person that just wasn't there. And, you know, I'm a researcher. That's what I do.
I'll take your word for it.
And so I made myself a research project.
Did you use Tinder in this project by any chance?
Yes. So, like any good researcher, I figured out what those research questions would be. And I was like, first, I want to know if I can have sex. And second of all, I want to know if I want it to be part of my life.
Okay.
So, if you're not going to wait until marriage to have sex...
yeah, I've already missed that boat.
What type of ethics did I want to embody or embrace in this?
What kind of ethics? I don't know. How much did you overthink this? I imagine quite a bit.
And so I was like, okay, it's got to be legal.
Yes. I would hope that wouldn't even need to be a consideration, but yes, legal.
And
what would you have? Okay.
Well, come on. And then I realized I wanted it to be safe. I needed to feel safe.
Well, yes, that is the responsible thing to do on both parties' counts.
And whatever experience I had.
Yes.
So we moved on to recruitment. Now, how do you recruit people?
Tinder. I'm going to hit the psychic button if she mentions Tinder.
How do you recruit people for your unofficial have sex with me research project?
Tinder. Or put up one of those, find a cork board at a college campus and put up one of those little tabbed flyers or whatever. Adabisi, still on the road? Thank you, Adabisi. Did she tell the man he was going to be a tool? I don't know. It's like, hello, potential sexual partner. I'm doing a research project for my own satisfaction in order to justify retroactively a job that I have. Will you enter my bedroom? I don't know. I can't wait to hear the details of this, actually. Now I'm really curious to know how this process went. Okay, so...
You know, my therapist, she was like, have you considered a professional?
Well, that wouldn't be legal now, would it?
And I was like, you know, Amsterdam's really far.
You don't have to go to Amsterdam to find a professional. It is really far. It's like an 8-hour flight.
I looked into the brothels in Nevada. Unfortunately, none of them employ men.
Really? Okay.
And sex surrogates were actually way out of my budget. So...
What was your budget? You had a budget?
Where do we go? To Tinder.
I was right! Oh, I knew it! I told you! I could see it. I could see it on the horizon. The poor man's brothel. Tinder. Oh my gosh. Little known fact, I've never used Tinder. at all. So there you go. The last dating type site I used was OkCupid, back before it charged and microtransactioned everything into the dirt. Thank you, Okie Native. Odds that she got a research grant to pay for this and then charge the men 50-50. There was a video. Oh, man. I hadn't even thought of that. If you try to mark this up as like professional research, that'd be something. Thank you, Okie Native. And holy cats, Alan Thyler again. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. With the bravo, Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowie fucking wow.
Oh, there's a Satsu 2 cents Dogcat Fox. I've made it a Lords of the Night Dogcat Fox set so far. Who knows what'll be next? I need to get some more Wowie Wow Wows. I've been meaning to do that. I keep talking to like Undoomed and other people. I need to get a Wowie Wow Wow to a couple of more people. Get some more dramatic Wowie Wow Wows in my soundboard list. Okay, so you went to Tinder. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
To the apps we went. Now, my initial efforts at recruitment were a little bit dicey.
Do tell. Now we're getting into the interesting stuff.
A lot of these men didn't seem to understand the lack of experience that I was trying very delicately to convey to them. There was the red-bearded pirate.
Okay.
Who talked the entire time and never asked me a single question, paused and said, I think I've been talking a long time.
Well, yeah, you need to have the assertiveness to cut in occasionally and say something, but okay.
Yes, in fact, you have. And he said, and I was like trying to give him grace, right?
Give him grace?
And I was like, well, you know, we do that when we're nervous. I'm not nervous. Unfortunately, when he went to pay the bill, he pulls his hand out, and I noticed this ring on his left hand.
Uh-oh. He's a married pirate. Also, you went to Tinder. I don't know what to tell you. Contents may appear less ethical in rearview mirror.
What is that? He says, oh, I'm married. That was not in your profile.
Well, I'm glad you did a little bit of filtration before going forward.
Well, he says to me, that's okay. My wife and I are up for a threesome. Y'all.
Advocatus Diaboli. What is the actual point of this talk? Your guess is as good as mine.
I was not ready for that at that moment in my life.
Maybe this is confessional. Maybe she's doing a cleanse or something. I don't know.
Thank you, but no thank you. I'm glad that works for y'all. Not for me right now.
Y'all.
And then there was a cigar aficionado who told me he worked in the cigar industry, which meant he blogged about cigars.
I mean, depending. There's bloggers out there that end up with sponsors in the industry they're blogging about. Don't sell them short.
For free.
Oh. Maybe he gets free samples.
And then his hugs in the parking lot, despite me pushing him back, just kept pulling in. And what I realized, neither of these men were listening to me.
You went on Tinder. Okay, lady, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I can give you your naivete a little bit of credit here. At the same time, seriously, Tinder is not about people really getting to know each other. Some people do. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but the first reflex on using Tinder is you're just looking for a quick fling. That's it. That is that's the main expectation when it comes to Tinder. So I hate to tell you this, none of this surprises me. It does surprise me a bit that it surprises you because you are a grown adult, you are a professional researcher. All of this should have been obvious to you before you even started an account on Tinder. Its reputation alone should have given you a clue, but okay.
Or to my body. And that's what I needed.
Then you're looking in the wrong place.
Someone who was going to listen to me.
Uh-huh.
So I had to tweak my recruitment brochure, also known as my Tinder profile.
Why did you keep using Tinder? Here's a thought. Why not try dating? Right? You know, there are plenty of organizations and events around in most places. I think she was talking about Las Vegas or something. I bet you there were speed dating events or, just get-togethers, little social outing kind of things where people get to meet each other and, play some trivia games or whatever to start getting to know people, just to be social. Do that. Flex the social muscles you obviously never really used growing up. Don't use Tinder. If you're looking for something meaningful, if you're looking for someone to be, even if they're only a temporary or, partner of fun rather than partner of long-term relationship, you're likely not going to find them on Tinder. Now, maybe she's about to tell us that she tweaked her profile and finally found someone. Maybe that's the case. But generally speaking, if you're looking for an actual, even a simulacrum of a real relationship, I wouldn't recommend Tinder.
And at one point, I matched with an art professor. That ended up being a really good match.
Okay.
We expressed some similar intents, and I tried very delicately to say, I don't have a lot of experience.
Don't be delicate about it. Be upfront, okay? And it's not just her, but it's people in general. If there's some element to your background that you think might be a deal breaker or whatever, you have some, limitation or some hesitancy or some interest or what, just put it out there. Just be honest, okay? If it was going to drive people away simply by knowing it, you might as well save them and yourself the time by being upfront about it on your profile or whatever immediately. And then you don't have to, whoever's coming and talking to you after the fact, they don't have to feel like you're concealing something, because that's really the quickest pathway to not trusting someone. If there's something that is vitally important to them or really significant about their makeup in some way, shape, or form that you're not just, admitting to, if you're trying to dance around it, I hate to tell you this, that doesn't really help towards building trust. So, really.
And so when he was like, tell me more, I said, well, let's just say I was 19 the last time I was alone in a room with a man.
Yeah, I still, not that I'm looking for further details, but it's very curious to me that the way that she framed it at the beginning was the first time she had consensual sex was at 47.
And he was like, are you saying it's been 30 years? And I was like, dude, 28. Let's not exaggerate.
Har. Okay, so something did happen at 19. Okay.
But he said, you know what? I'm honored, and I will make sure that it is a positive experience for you.
Okay, so there wasn't any other... It was already granted that this was going to happen. Okay.
And so we got a hotel room. We set some expectations.
Oh my gosh. You did you set some boundaries ahead of time? That's very adult of you. Very good.
And maybe we just play cards.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
And I decided that I would just trust my body and I would listen to its cues.
Uh-huh.
And all it said was, you go, girl.
You go, girl! Boy, I'm having a hard time coming up with reasons to circle anything on the bingo card because this is so one track. DEI philosophy, no. Word salad, no. Mind reading assumes motives, no. A list. I mean, I guess an argument could be made she went down a list of her initial matches, maybe. Let's wait and see. Marginal. Not sure yet.
Now, what I learned that night was that, in fact, I could have sex, and I did want to try to incorporate that into my life.
I'm so happy for you.
I also learned that we really need better sex education in America.
Okay, I hate to tell you this, lady, but a lot of that education comes through experience because it's different for everybody. Also, Andy, the Toy Master Masterson is here. And he just wanted to say, can you put caulk in my crack? Andy Masterson is very experienced in building materials, especially for action figures. I'm sure that's what he meant. I'm sure that's what he was referring to. Yeah, so. Also, inadvertently, I may have, and I'm hoping I did, inspire a little art project for Andy Masterson and Gary Ambrosia to engage in, and that is a crossover between the Ghostbusters and the Universal Monsters. I don't know if that's ever happened officially, but maybe, just maybe, between Andy the Toy Master Masterson and Gary Ambrosia, something like that may happen in a diorama fashion at some point in the future. That'd be great. Not that I'm trying to nag or nudge or push or anything for that to happen. I'm just saying, who shall rid me of this world that doesn't have a Ghostbusters Universal Monsters crossover? Anyway. Okay. So you had this experience. There's not a lot of sex education. I hate to tell you this, lady. It's because it's different for everybody. Everybody has different likes, dislikes, limitations, freedoms. That comes about through experience and experimentation. You have had effectively none. So after one experience, you making that statement, yeah.
Holy cow! What we don't talk about is everything that
Okay.
matters.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I can know where the body parts are, but if I don't know how to use the body parts, they're not very helpful.
Okay. You went... Okay, for the sake of things, you went your entire adult life without having any experience in something. You learn by doing in this instance. That's how it works.
I also learned that this body that I despised was magical.
Uh-huh.
And I really like that body.
I'm glad you have gained some kind of better self-image. The audience is like, yeah, girl.
And I wanted to learn more, and I was so curious about all the things. So I read lots and lots and lots, and I watched TV, and I watched online sex education videos.
Did you watch any pornography?
OMG, yes. And Beducated, if you've never looked at those sites, they're fantastic for those
Oh, that's cute. I hadn't heard of that one before. Beducated.
of us who don't know what we're doing, and I think that's most of us.
Speak for yourself, sister.
But a couple things I want to share with you that I took away from this past year.
Okay, because I've been waiting for the lessons, and we got 3 minutes left in this thing.
The first one is that our bodies are not failing us.
I don't need you to tell me that. Also, the first one, that is indicative, I should say, of a list. Circling a list on this very, very bereft bingo card. Almost barren, one might say.
Our bodies are beautiful, and they're wonderful, and
It all depends on the body, but
they're like magical musical instruments.
Okay. I'm glad you discovered the magic of sexuality, I suppose. Adabisi, again, thank you so much, Adabisi. Hope the drive is going well. Hope there's a mop and wet floor warning sign somewhere on that stage. She's getting excited. Uh-oh! Adabisi, with some innuendo. I don't know. She's wearing bell-bottom pants, so there's plenty of room to maneuver, I guess.
They are expressive, and they're warm, and they just need to be played properly.
Yes, warm bodies.
I spent years dieting and hating this body, and all it wanted to do was just play.
Okay. That was your first lesson. What's the next part?
I remember realizing that one night when a man told me that I was beautiful, and normally I would just reject that, and he said, and instead I could feel it in my body.
Okay. Yeah, compliments are sometimes difficult to accept, but when you can, they're nice, yeah.
What he said, I believed because I could feel the relaxation that I felt.
Okay.
I also learned about consent.
Okay. Are we now going to hear something about what happened at 19?
And consent is not just verbal, it's also nonverbal.
You're right. And I'm very glad that you have acknowledged that, because there was a whole movement that basically encouraged everybody to go through step by step. Every movement you make, every step you take, you must seek consent, which I've seen videos. There was like some videos that were put out 2018, 2019 that depicted what a fully consensual encounter should look like. And I don't think it was a parody, but like every single movement or gesture was predicated with a question, and almost entirely from the male character, so that the female could give consent and everything. Like, is it okay if I touch your arm here? Is it okay? I mean, it was comical.
I was amazed at how many people asked for very clear consent multiple times. May I hug you? May I touch you? May I hold your hand?
Yeah, that can sometimes get a little bit tedious and unnecessary.
And consent also comes in nonverbal cues. Are we tense or are we relaxed?
Yes.
Are we performing or are we present? It's in our breath.
Hopefully you brushed your teeth, yeah.
Are we breathing in and relaxed?
If this is going to be a legal and consensual encounter, I certainly hope your partner is breathing.
We see it in our muscles. I also learned that I could take time and take up space.
Whatever that means.
You know, I knew that we took up physical space with our bodies, but I didn't really realize how much emotional space that we tend to take up around people. And I also learned that we can take up the space that we need.
I'll take your word for it. Taking up space. Yeah, that was like the female astronauts on the Jeff Bezos rocket ship. Oh, now we're taking up space in space. Oh, look how brave we are.
Whether it's physical or emotional, and if it's not too much, and it's not too much if we're around the right people. I also learned that I can take my time.
Take your time. Take your time. Take your time, yeah. No need to hurry. And
it's not too long if it's right. I learned so much. I made so many mistakes. And the academic in me wanted to give you guys a framework for how you too.
Oh, by all means. The academic, who had never had such an encounter in her 47 years, is going to tell us, the population that more often than not has a raft of experience more than she has at this point, she's going to tell us what to do. You're gonna climb down from that position now, be a little self-deprecating, correct?
Could explore the unknown parts of yourself. In fact, the earlier version of this talk had a 5-step process.
Oh, man. So this version does not have a 5-step process? I would love a 5-step process. I could circle list again and have some more specific points to go over.
But I've embraced that we don't need a theory for everything.
You don't? I thought you said earlier that there wasn't enough sex education.
You don't need to know all of the things that we're doing. I took chances. I made a lot of stupid mistakes.
You want to tell us about any of them? It'd be nice to have something more concrete to discuss here.
But you remember those goals that I talked about at the beginning?
The legal one?
My rosemary, it's thriving.
What?
The basil, it never, ever even sprouted.
Oh, I completely forgot about the herbs.
And the oregano turned out to be cilantro?
Okay, all right. Demerits all around for that one. Sorry. Ugh, cilantro. Blech. Burning soap. Ugh.
Which flourished until it went to bloom, and then when cilantro blooms, it dies.
Oh. You know, it makes me kind of happy inside. There's karmic justice for cilantro in its own makeup. Thank goodness.
And just like that, parts of me are flourishing.
Great.
And I've learned to let go of thoughts and rules that no longer serve me.
I'm happy for you, I guess.
And I learned that not every date equals a marriage proposal.
It's true.
Which takes so much pressure off of everything. And my experience isn't normal, but we all have parts of ourselves that we minimize and hide.
Uh-huh.
And so I encourage you to think about, what is it that you're minimizing?
Let's see. Minimize and hide. Well, my face. That's fairly obvious.
It's scary. You might lose friends or family. For me, I feared so many things in this journey. But in learning to trust my body and to listen to it, I learned about myself.
I'm shocked.
And I learned who I was. And as I learned about who I was and learned to understand myself better,
I came to love myself.
I began to love myself more.
Oh, good.
And as my therapist says, the person who can love you the best is you. And so I want you to ask yourself,
Ooh, I love asking myself questions in the last 10 seconds here.
what part of you are you minimizing?
What part of me am I minimizing? Okay, I mean, I'll take on the question seriously. And I think I intimated the very answer earlier. I still have some, I don't know if you want to call it self-esteem issues. I guess it's kind of part and parcel, but maybe some self-worth / imposter syndrome kind of reflexes when it comes to certain things. So I guess that's something I have to get over. Also, my hesitation and fear of writing. I always find excuses to just put off writing or self-generating an idea to write something or whatever. You know, I got into that. I've showed it off before. I got into that silly. Well, it's not silly, but I mean it's kind of ridiculous. That was just a synonym for silly. Anyway, adaptation of the vampire video game into a tabletop deal. That entire project, up until I kind of lost steam on it, was the most writing I had done unbidden. It wasn't like I was given an assignment or anything in years. And I worked on that sucker every day for like a month and completed it to a point of where I was satisfied with it. And I don't know what sparked it so much, and I want to recapture that for something of my own rather than riffing off of an existing property kind of thing. But it's always the existing property that like makes it happen. Anyway, sorry, you asked a serious question, I gave a serious answer.
And what might bloom if you let it thrive?
See. Okay, well, not the most, let's say, mind-numbing or intellectually offensive TEDx talk we've ever watched. But also not very interesting, I guess. It was a very biographical. I guess I should have assumed that. I don't know what I expected, but I guess we got what we got. Anyway, let's move on to the bingo card, such as it is. There's not a whole lot going on here, guys, so it's going to be interesting to see what you come up with, if anything, to fill up these squares. All right, so I'll go over it one more time by myself. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, hold on to them. I'll get to you momentarily. DEI philosophy. Didn't hear anything like that. Word salad. Not really. I mean, She told her story, etc., I guess. Mind reading assumes motives. I didn't hear anything to that extent. Not really. And she was ultimately self-deprecating about, saying she was going to educate people on her framework for this, that, and the other. So credit where credit's due. Marginalization. I'm going to say she did that to herself. That is not the same as self-vilification or wretchedness, right? Because she was, hold on. Let me think about that one for a second. Now let's move on. I'm not going to circle it. Let's move on. Patriarchy. She didn't give us enough about the particulars of her religion for me to say otherwise. You can assume most religions are fairly patriarchal, but she didn't focus on that too much. Contradicts own point or fails to make argument. Well, what was her argument? I can only take her argument within her conclusion, and that is, don't sell yourself short, take a chance, and who knows what you'll discover. And throughout the course of the talk and her story, that's exactly what she ended up doing for herself, as odd as it is at 47, so I don't think she failed to make her argument in that way. Feminism, not overly so. She kept a very focused on her own experience, not women in general. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. I didn't hear anything. Systemic or institutional. I am going to circle that for her constant fallbacks to religion and the institution thereof and sort of its teachings and such that ended up restricting her mentally and emotionally. I don't think it's too much of a stretch. Anecdote that probably never happened. Nothing that she told us as far as stories really felt unbelievable. So, white supremacy, race never came up, leaves out vital context. I'm not going to say that whatever the circumstances of her experience at 19 were vital. I think it was implied enough. The details were not necessary. As far as any other vital context is concerned, I think, and maybe this is just me, I think I would have liked to have heard some more specifics about either the mistakes that she made, even if she had to, G-rate them for the sake of the talk, or, and not just stuff like, oh, I didn't know that by using that kind of stuff. I'm talking about like things that she made assumptions about or whatever, a bit more. I think when she said like lessons in this specific instance, just some sort of abstracts as she gave us, like, have some self-confidence. Not quite what I was hoping for from a talk titled Lessons from a Sex Professor. Also, what does a sex professor do? And how did you achieve that rank or role in the absence of that? That was some stuff I wanted to have at least some reference for. Weightless example or non sequitur? Well, no, her story's about dating. I mean, that's kind of baked into the title. I'm not sure. Was there a non sequitur in there? Maybe there was. A sales pitch for product or service? No. Privilege? Well, no. Tinder. No, I take it back. Tinder. That was, wasn't the greatest sales pitch in the world, but it eventually provided her with what she was looking for. So there you go. Let's see. Oh, I got to shrink the bingo card a little bit, don't I? Let's do that. There we go. That's better. Okay. Privilege. No. Collectivize his own demographic. Not so as I'd noticed. Self-vilification. Okay, this is going to be the contentious one. Self-vilification or wretchedness. Yes. Self-vilification or wretchedness, yes. Plays victim, I'm not so sure about. That one I'm going to need an argument for. Because even though she eventually learned to love her body, a large part of her talk and presentation was about not liking herself and seeing her body as something to be ashamed of and so on. So I'm glad that she seemingly no longer feels that way about herself, but that element was part of her presentation. Economic disparity. Well, I mean, she talked about not having the budget for a professional surrogate partner thing or something. I don't know if that actually becomes economic disparity, but I don't think it does. Benevolent condescension. No, she was. She had reasonable amounts of humility, knowing her experience was not the same as most people, and didn't really talk down to the audience, as far as I could tell. Okay, plays victim. I have a hard time circling plays victim because she came across to me as very sincere and very straightforward about her own self-doubts and those imposed upon her by her upbringing. I didn't really feel like she was playing a victim there. I think she was just being honest about her own internal workings. So I'm going to need a really good argument for plays victim. Self-vilification or wretchedness, what she said crosses the line into that, sure. But plays victim, yes. Deceptive statistics. Did she give us any statistics? I don't think so. And lastly, microaggressions or unconscious bias. Did she use those in there? Maybe something could be said about her experiences with her potential matches. But does that rise to microaggressions or unconscious bias? I can't say. All right. Well, the field is open, guys. There's a lot of arguments to be made here if you have them. So if you have an argument for a square to be circled, put it in the chat now. I'll scroll up a little bit, but if you find that I did miss your argument, please just repost it, and we will do it again. Let's see. Advocast Diabli. Marginalized marginalization. Specifically being a 47-year-old virgin and continuously bringing it up, even if it was pertinent. Yeah, I mean, marginalized marginalization is not always inherently a pejorative or something. Yeah, and of course she did also talk about how she was so reluctant and delicate about bringing it up and everything because she knew that it put her on. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I was close to that one. That's fine. All right, moving on. Ostsan, anecdote that probably never happened. A doctor telling her that binging and purging wouldn't hurt her. See, I'm still, and I said at the time, was that a conclusion she came to in that statement, or was that doesn't sound like something a doctor would have said. The way that she phrased that, I could believe that it was a conclusion she came to. Just the way that she said it in the statement almost sounded like it was the doctor giving her the okay. Because I understand there are some quack doctors out there. I don't think there's a doctor out there that would have recommended to her that binging and purging is okay. So I'm not sure I understood that right. It might have been phrased in an ambiguous way. That's all I'll say there. I would be surprised if that was what she was saying. She was a victim to that horrible talk given in school. She hated herself her whole life because they licked a cupcake. But was she being disingenuous? This is the thing about plays victim. That's the first part. Was it an act? Was she creating a victim narrative? Was she building one artificially? I don't feel that she was. Now maybe there's an element in here for an argument. I don't feel that the stories she was telling made her into a disingenuous victim. She may have been a victim of her own, sense of self-worth. She may have been a victim of the culture that she grew up in, but I didn't get anything that made me feel like she was making it up or playing it up for sympathy. That's the thing you're going to have to overcome to get me to circle that square. Let's see. Scribeblade. Also, she could have saved herself a lot of trouble and just gone to any random bar closing time. Well, I mean, she had conditions, and I can respect that. She had conditions. She wasn't just looking for the old in and out. She was looking for something a little bit more meaningful. I'm particularly trying to avoid one vocabulary word here I keep relying on because that means that I have to hit a button, and I've been doing that too much lately. So I got to knock that off. Hoot Owl, deceptive statistics. She skipped the dates and kept the grant money. She never said she got grant money. She never said she got, that was a joke earlier. She never said she got grant money for this. Okay, Abdigas plays victim simply because she made it sound like this was forced upon her and not a choice she made. See, this is, again, this is where my own personal bias comes in. When you have had drummed into you over time a certain sense of yourself, a certain sense of the world, it really isn't a choice. It is an effort to get past those self-imposed limitations. So, my sympathy for her position, such as it is, plays victim, again, it's a steep hill. You're going to need to give me something from the talk that came across as disingenuous victim baiting or victim fishing or whatever you want to call it, because I just, not sure. The way she worded it made it seem like the doctor was saying that. I know, but I'm just not sure that that's what she was saying. I'm not sure. Not Z3PO. Nice to see Andy Masterson getting out in the world. Hail, Dark Sith Lord Plasticus. Yes. Andy, the Toy Master Masterson. Adabisi, purity culture is one I hadn't heard in that way. Thanks for the company while I was driving. Happy to help. I have heard of purity culture before, so that was not a new buzzword or buzz phrase. Yeah, purity culture is a known quantity in the world. It's very religiously based. There's a lot of promise rings and things like that, and pledges to take and so on. I've seen videos about it and people talking about it. I've known some people in real life that were involved in that or raised in that mentality. So yeah, was the cigar aficionado Bill Clinton? For legal purposes, no. For anecdotal purposes, sure. Why not? Amada Wolfchild. Yes, she created it in her own head. I went through that same talk after I dealt with 3 pedos as a kid, and I managed to deal with it. She made it a horrible thing in her mind. She needs to be a victim to excuse things in herself. Yeah, but it didn't feel like there was anything sort of malicious or begging for sympathy going on. She was being very open about this and a lot of humility there. I don't know. It's the plays victim part. It didn't come across to me as a sob story because it was all explanatory in her own mind for why she had this limit or limitation of experience to that point. And then it was all resolved by the end where she effectively let herself, after a fashion, she forgave herself for her past self-limitations by finally accepting her body and her capacity, let's say. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's going to be the toughest square to convince me of. Maybe it's my own personal bias, but okay. She was still blaming her upbringing for making her so skittish about sex to the point where she never had it. That is playing victim. So, okay, and I know I might be simplifying this too much. You're saying that there is an expiration date on her upbringing for being a acceptable limitation to her own activities? To put it, as G-rated as I can. So at a certain point, her upbringing isn't an excuse for her. I mean, it ended up not being. I mean, she bucked her entire upbringing to do this, right? So here's the thing. She didn't ultimately, it took a long time, but ultimately she didn't let it hold her back from finally making that leap. It just took a really long time. Does that not sort of counter the victim narrative that she actually got past it? Is it just the amount of time it took that you say that makes it a victim narrative? I know, I'm making you work for this one because I'm not convinced. Scribe-like, microaggressions, conscious bias. Well, I circled it. So, sorry, that was marginalization. Pardon me. Microaggressions and conscious bias. Her religion teaching kids that any friskiness makes one unworthy of love. Also, the pastor saying she shouldn't trust her body. Okay. Yeah, no, fair enough. She got instilled with a lot of self-doubt and about herself, about relationships, conscious or unconscious. She was reflexively fearful of her own body, of her own sexuality. All right. You convinced me. What can I say on that one? So, as a result of
Bingo. What? Bingo! Yeah! Of course!
All right, we got our first bingo, maybe our only bingo. Give another couple of minutes here. Let's see. Daryl, we've been spoiled with bingos every stream for too long. You're cut off, chat. Well, we have one. This is a tough one because it was a very narrowly focused talk. She didn't wander off into a whole bunch of things, and some of the usual devices in a TEDx talk just simply did not come up. So it's just the way it is. We argued that one to death. Economic disparity. She learned to enjoy eating while having sex. Okay, there's a couple of directions that one can go, but for shame, Hoot Owl. For shame. Daryl Adele, I spoke too soon. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't know what to expect from this one. I didn't know what the argument would be and so on. This was a dark horse, as it were. But yeah, I know I'm being a stickler here, and you guys are trying, and it's not. You see, it surprises me and impresses me after a fashion that everyone is working so hard to get a square circled that will not lead to a bingo. Like, there's almost no way under the sun that this square will lead to a bingo, and this is the most highly contested square in that category that we've seen for quite a while now, and I just can't bring myself to circle it. And I appreciate everybody working so hard. Okay, Advocast. This might be the last attempt. She was really emphasizing that her upbringing was responsible for her being a virgin. That admission means she saw herself as a victim. Okay, again, but was it disingenuous? Was it played up for sympathy? Was it something that had an element of deception to it or melodrama? I can't say that. Because, being raised in a strictly religious mindset is not an uncommon thing. Some people have their entire lives dictated to them by their religious beliefs and their religious upbringing. And here's, again, as I said, and she eventually, it took 47 years because she was uncertain, and it becomes comfortable to stay within your own uncertainty and your safe zone and everything and so on. She eventually overcame it. So the idea that she was, by the end of this talk, and then the narrative that she was providing us, that the message was she's a victim, and that the message she gave at the end is, hey, look, I went 47 years without taking a chance on this, but I did, and I found out it was great, and you should too. That doesn't feel like a victim narrative to me. It doesn't feel disingenuous. It feels like someone who really, truly overcame, admittedly, a self-imposed limitation, but one that was spurred on and taught to her by her family, by her culture, by her religion. So nothing about this speaker struck me as disingenuous. And that's really the point you have to overcome for me in this instance, to say that she was playing a victim. So that's my argument back. Obviously, anybody that has an argument they'd like to make elsewise on that square or any other square that wasn't circled, you can always leave a comment in the comments below, or if you'd like, you can also join the Discord server and argue with me on there about such things. The Discord server link is in the chat right now. If you'd like to join the Discord server, click on that link. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you actually watched the stream, are not a bot, and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. And today's secret word is cupcake. Just say hello, cupcake, and I'll know you're talking to me. So again, programming notes for the near future. Friday, tomorrow, I will be on Midnight's Edge in the morning, likely for my last appearance on that series, as the Midnight's Edge in the morning schedule will change next Monday to 2 hours earlier in the morning, which will place it outside of my ability to participate. So if you'd like to see me on my bon voyage appearance on the series for all intents and purposes. That'll be tomorrow morning, 9:05 a.m. Pacific Time, noon 05 p.m. Eastern Time on Midnight's Edge. And then Tuesday, at time yet undetermined. Let me check in my DMs here and see if I got anything clarifying that. Not yet. Tuesday, sometime Tuesday, I will let you guys know as soon as I can. I have been invited to appear on the celebratory 100,000 subscriber live stream from Mr. Black over on his true crime channel, One Crime TV. I'll be in attendance with other true crime figures, of which I am not one, but I'm just happy to be invited. And so that'll happen Tuesday at some time. I'll let you guys know more as soon as I get some timing on that, both on the Discord and on my Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, hey, think about following me on Twitter just because you can, I guess. Scribe_light. What else? Oh, yeah, I have a merch store. There's a link in the description. If you haven't already hit that like button, please hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. You can become a scriber. And in doing so, you may find something substantive about my channel. Also, again, do know that my friend Sinatra Says has had his channel resurrected from the dungeons of YouTube, the Sinatra_Says channel. And if you don't already know about it, go check it out. Subscribe. He's rebuilding his channel after years of being unfairly restricted from making use of the channel that he built up to over 100,000 subscribers. They yanked it out from under him several years ago because he said things they don't like. Thankfully, that's on its way to hopefully changing and back to monetization. Oh, and by the way, and just because I mentioned him so much earlier, Ranting Monkey. Anyway, there's all the plugs and promos for my friends elsewise. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. And especially, I want to thank everybody for your argumentation. Even if we don't agree, it is worth the effort in thinking about it. So thank you guys so much for that. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society link at the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Very much appreciate it. Let me know what you thought about this one, guys, both in the chat, the comments, and on the Discord server. Usually I pick more sort of obviously controversial topics. Even though this one did not gain us a whole bunch of bingos. Did you find it interesting? Let me know. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Same time, same bat channel that Ranting Monkey will eliminate because that's what he does to bats. But everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you all have a good rest of your Thursday. Hope your Friday is a good one and your weekend is as well. And I hope you're all safe and well. And if you're not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.